Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Kingdoms of Death by Christopher Ruocchio. That's right, Ruocchio. This is book number 4 in his Sun Eater saga, published by Daw Books. We've got book number 1, number 2, number 3. I have left reviews previously on my channel for each of these books. You can look them up, just type in the title of the book and my last name, and I promise you the video review will magically appear upon your YouTube screen. Now on to book number 4. If you followed my channel, you know I think this is the dopest science fiction series currently being written and published on the entire planet today. Maybe even the entire universe. Anyway, let's talk about these covers first, because each one of these books has got just a super badass cover. This one included. This has got a great painting by an artist named Kieran Yanner. I think that's the way you pronounce that. Keiran Now, I've met Christopher Ruocchio a few times. In our travels at different Comic-Cons, we have crossed paths, sat at tables and signed books side by side. I've got signed copies of, I always show off my signed copies first. This one says, "To the next Game of Thrones guy from the next Dune guy." My books get compared to Game of Thrones. His books get compared to Dune. I think he signed book number 2 also. Yes. What is this? From the Dio of science fiction to the Ace of fantasy. I think that's a heavy metal reference, but I don't know. Anyway, I don't have these two signed, but let's talk about book 4. So the Sun Eater saga and Christopher Ruocchio, man, this is space opera dialed up. This is what Christopher Ruocchio calls this science fantasy. It's space opera mixed with fantasy. I mean, this is space opera. Book 4 specifically, space opera with actual opera in it, and choirs, and space witches, starships, Roman soldiers, just every single thing you'd want in a grand, huge, epic science fiction saga, the size and scope of Dune. You know, when I would stand next to Christopher Ruocchio at book signings, he would always sort of describe his books to newcomers as like this. He's like, imagine this is a story about Darth Vader, as if becoming Darth Vader was a good thing. I think that's the way he says it. I don't know. I might have butchered that. I think I say it better on these other videos. But anyway, that's the kind of thing. What if Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader had been a good thing for the galaxy? That's what this, that's the theme of this book series. And where are we at right now after 4 books? I mean, okay. So I've compared these books to Dune, Name of the Wind, every great science fiction series there is. This tops it by far. I mean, this is probably now, I know when I did my top 30 science fiction novels of all time, I included one of these in my top 10. I actually think this whole series would be in my top 5 at the moment. This is just to describe Ruocchio, before we get into the nuts and bolts of the story, just to describe Ruocchio's writing style. It is so gorgeous. And he just creates such a universe-spanning, sweeping tapestry of, compelling political intrigue mixed with fun space opera adventure. It's pure, like he says, science fantasy. And it's just descriptive in every phase of its story, whether it's the world building. It's not just world building. This is universe building, galaxy building. This is phenomenal writing. I mean, this guy has constructed an entire galaxy that rivals the world building of Dune and all of the massive great science fiction stories that we've got. This book itself, let's talk about it. It's a lot darker than the other three books. The other three books were R-rated. Don't get me wrong. They had some grim spots, but there's always like this tone of hope running through it. This one spirals into some darkness, some grittiness, and some hopeless situations that I wasn't expecting given what's happened before. Not only that, but our hero, Hadrian Marlowe, has lived so many years. In the span of these 4 books, we watch him as goes from a child to like someone that's centuries old. But they keep young. They stay, this is in the future. They have this is outer space. They have ways of keeping themselves youthful or at whatever desired age they really want to live at. But so about 100 years have gone by since the end of this book. And now Hadrian has been, I don't know how to say this, but I'll do the air quotes, which I hate. Hadrian has been the guest of the emperor and forced kind of to be his advisor for the long time. And he is, Hadrian finds himself literally like a prisoner of his own legend, his own past, his own sort of future. I mean, he's just become like a creature, he's almost, I don't know, I don't want to say deified, because it's not like that, but it's, everybody knows who he is, kind of, and he has become a big deal. And that's a hard thing to live up to. Now, overall, in the world building of this, the mankind has slowly been losing the war for the galaxy with the Cielsen. And the Cielsen are continuing their invasion into the galaxy. And their leader, Syriana, and I'm probably not going to pronounce any of this right, Syriana Dorasai, is uniting these Cielsen clans to just more fervently attack the galaxy and expand into the galaxy. And we don't want that, we don't want that. At least the emperor don't want that. And so he sends Hadrian on an impossible sort of mission to journey across the galaxy to the Lotharian, I think it's the Lotharian system, and convince the Lothraians to join in the war against the Cielsen. However, this mission, not all is as it seems, which, is where things start to go dark and gloomy, and the adventure starts up. I think this book, a little bit more so than these other 3, has a pace of action and adventure that is absolutely relentless. It just, at the beginning, when he's sort of, in some training scenes, and he's milling about this sort of a palace area on a planet, and then it's but then it just starts moving. It starts going. Our boy Hadrian is placed into many tricky, dangerous situations. Political machinations going back and forth. He's got to extricate himself from things and places and different, it's a grand space opera. Science fantasy, I should say. Let me see if I can get that quote that Christopher uses again. This series is as if Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader was the right thing to do. And we're kind of seeing that. We're kind of like, through these books, we're kind of seeing that becoming an evil lord? Are we watching the rise of an evil lord? Or are we watching the rise of a young Skywalker like Luke? If young Hadrian drinks blue milk out of a walrus's nipple, anywhere in these, I don't know. I won't even be able to. Although if Christopher Ruocchio writes that scenes, it'd probably be pretty good. I give this another 10 out of 10. I think all of these books are at that level. They are just that genius. Christopher Ruocchio is a young writer, and for being so young, he is so talented. I can't even believe it. So we will give this a 10 out of 10, and we will just absolutely look at how gorgeous this entire set of books is before we end. I mean, look at how just absolutely wonderful that series looks together. Oh, and not only that, but if we turn them sideways, we get a great look at how all the spines fit together to make a wonderful package. Daw Books always does a good job with that kind of thing. So this series, I mean, you gotta jump on board, people.